My name is Rhapsody, and welcome back to Slay the Spire. It's time to go in with the Ironclad Ascension mode level 6. It is worth noting that unfortunately I recorded the silent run that should have gone up yesterday, where we did 7, that is the level 7 Ascension mode. We did it successfully. It was a deck that was full of well-laid plans and unceasing top, which ended up working against one another, unfortunately. A bunch of energy manipulation, and it worked out really well. It was also super defensive, and it kind of, like, it blew out everything from, I want to say, about halfway through the first area of the game. So, you know, I'm sad that the recording was corrupted because it was recorded to a full drive, so it got truncated and then corrupted as well, but I don't know any way in the game currently to repeat an Ascension mode, so we're just gonna pretty much treat it as though that didn't happen, and then just go back to the Ironclad, and then next video, you know, in 6 hours, we'll do the Ascension mode level 8. Alright. Have we got an early shot? We do. We have a super early shot. 190 going in there, and then this is a 3 elite. It's a 4 elite path. It's got a bunch of question marks and a bunch of rests. So, obtaining 100 gold, to me, I'm not going to be treating that as cool. I've obtained 100 gold to pick up a relic. I'm going to treat it as I now have all of this gold for the express purpose of picking up a card that can set our strategy here in the first shot. So maybe a feed, maybe an immolate, maybe a reaper, maybe a demon form, you know, these kinds of things. I'm accepting 2 damage a turn here because this guy only occasionally does defensive turns like that, and when they are doing a defensive turn like that, you really want to have vulnerability already applied to them. Deal an extra 9 damage in there. Alright, so I'm probably just going to draw lethal here. Bash strike. Easy. So I was recently... I was going to use the word accused, but that sounds very heavy. I was recently called out a little, very lightly, for not respecting Iron Wave. If you go back through the earlier Ironclad runs that I've done, I have nothing but extreme respect for Iron Wave. Lolash disrespects Iron Wave in my presence, and I'm like, I can't believe you. What are you doing? It's so good. It's like a strike and a defend at the same time, my dude. I'm going to take one, just as a value pick. Alright, what do we got here? Well, that's a 27 for a Reaper. That's really big. For a Reaper, sorry, for a Shrug It Off. I do turn down a lot of cards, so this early Singing Bowl is going to be huge. I would usually go for Vajra here, but I really want to go Shrug It Off Singing Bowl because I turn down so many cards. This is also my second defensive pickup. We've got Iron Wave, we've got Shrug It Off. If I wanted to go for only cards, I'd probably go Shrug It Off Pommel Strike card removal. But no, I think this early being given the opportunity to turn down cards for maximum HP is going to be significant for us. Now I'm going to start removing cards from my deck. The first is going to be the strike, but since I got 2 defends, or rather 2 defensive cards, the next removal is going to be a block. Thank you, game. So effectively, let's think about it like this. I took one of my strikes, I lowered its damage by 1, and I increased it to give me 5 block. And then I took one of my defends, and I gave it 3 more block and a card draw. It's pretty good. Tori, awesome. Sorry about this, by the way. The Singing Bowl, when adding cards to your deck, you may gain 2 maximum HP instead. And Tori, whenever you would receive 5 or less unblocked attack damage, reduce it to 1. Iron Wave is excellent against this guy because it's the only way that I can generate block without enraging the enemy. Whenever you play a skill, you'll enrage this character and give them 2 extra strength. As it currently stands, I kind of just have to DPS race them. I will shrug it off. Yeah. Because I wanted to draw Iron Wave there, but now I'm blocking 13 of 18 damage, so only 5 unblocked damage gets through, which means that's reduced to 1 from Tori. That's a really, really good occurrence for us. Unfortunately here, we've got a pretty bad next hand. I am going to use Shrug It Off, because if I pick up a strike, we've actually got lethal. Yeah. Beautiful. Centennial Puzzle, the first time you lose HP each combat, draw 3 cards. Okay. I mean, there is an interesting thing to be done here, which is take Juggernaut and then just make this an entirely block-based run. Iron Wave suddenly becomes gain 5 block, deal 3 damage to a random enemy, deal 5 damage. Shrug it off. Again, this is another huge bonus. I'm going to take Juggernaut. It's going to incentivize... It makes up. What am I looking for? It makes up? No, it doesn't make up. There's a lot of cards in there I don't want to draw, right? There are... Like, if it's not Shrug, I'm fine. Good. There's a lot more incentive for me now to play a lot more safe, because it provides the aggression while I provide the defense. Which is kind of what you're gonna need to do a little bit in the Ascension modes. So currently, since we're 6 Ascension levels in, I did hover over the Ascension at the start, so if you do want to read them, but you can do that at that time. I would have read them out, but I forgot. Sorry. One sec. I need to figure out what I'm doing here. Oh, kill. There's effectively more elite spawn. Normal enemies are tougher, that is to say, deadlier. They deal more damage. Elites are deadlier. Bosses are deadlier. We don't fully heal after bosses, and we start each run damaged. I think we'll take our second Shrug It Off here. Only because we have Juggernaut, otherwise I wouldn't have taken a second copy. We do need to get Juggernaut active in this fight. Hopefully I get Juggernaut as well as one of the Shrug It Offs next round. In fact, I'm super likely to, because this Sentry is going to make me draw 3 cards. Yeah, good, good, good. I do need a little energy manipulation in this build, but, you know, we'll deal with what we've got at the moment. Actually, I'm going to use an Iron Wave here so that I can deal some damage. Hopefully my next hand has a reasonable amount of block in it. Good, good. It's worth noting that the Iron Wave and the Shrug It Off would have resulted in me taking the same damage, because this first guy was going to deal 9 damage to me. If I had 5 block, only 4 unblocked gets through, so then it gets reduced by Tori. If I had 8 block, only 1 unblocked gets through. It doesn't get reduced by Tori, but I still take 1 damage, right? So it's the same either way. Cool. I've got a strike in my next hand, so that backliner is dead. If I can safely take down 4 elites on the first floor, we're doing pretty well. It's going to be more difficult for me now to start taking out the... Hang on. Kill you. It's only going to get increasingly more difficult for me to take out the Gremlin Knob, because I keep putting skills in my deck, because skills are typically the things that are defensive. That is one of the reasons, as I was saying just earlier, that picking up the Iron Wave is such a good idea. So that I can be offensive and defensive at the same time, not have to play a skill, but still allow myself to gain block. For this same reason, relics like, well, Orichalcum actually wouldn't do that much for me, because I'm going to be playing block every turn, just part of my build. So I don't particularly want Orichalcum, but I would love the plated armor. The relic plated armor that gives you 5 charges of plated armor. I'll explain it a little more at the time if we happen to pick it up. I go through the spiel of what plated armor does. I want to say about 4 times an episode now. But on top of that, metallicize the power would be really, really good for us as well. Awesome. This was a wildly successful fight. Tori did a large amount of work in this fight. I think it saved me about 12 HP. Shrug. Shrug. Iron Wave is more damage than a strike because we have the Juggernaut active. We should upgrade Juggernaut and Iron Wave as soon as possible. Iron Wave just because it's a super high value card for us right now. And Juggernaut because it's kind of the crux of our entire deck. So I'm not going to be adding wounds to my hand because I'm still going to hold a relatively light deck, so Power Through doesn't seem like a good option for me. Pommel Strike for me is a worse Shrug It Off. If I am saying that I will always have Juggernaut active, then Shrug It Off becomes deal 5 damage. This is when I have Juggernaut upgraded. Deal 5 damage to a random enemy, gain 8 block, draw a card. Whereas Pommel Strike is deal 9 damage, draw a card. So I think I'm going to go for the max HP here. Ice Cream, energy is now conserved between turns. That's really, really good because it means that any... I can't play Juggernaut here. And I'm going to not shrug it off or anything like that. I'm just going to have all of my energy for the next turn. Hopefully I draw 4 attacks rather. Yes! That's huge. I'm only even going to take 1 damage here, thanks to Tori. But that's still going to allow me to draw a bunch more cards. Okay, that was really good. We are vulnerable now, which is obviously not that good. We'll probably use a Shrug It Off and 2 strikes here. So 2 strikes, we take the enemy down to 28. If we bash Iron Wave next turn, they go down to... Iron Wave goes up to 7 damage, so they go down to 13? Right, so we're killing them in 3 turns no matter what, which means I use another Shrug It Off. Fuck. I forgot. If I draw Bash, this becomes the wrong play. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, I just caused myself a lot more pain there than I needed to. Hopefully he does a Skull Bash this turn. That's another Skull Bash. My next hand is going to have the ability to take down 15 HP. So we'll block again. This was a rough fight. I'm probably going to have to rest at our next upcoming camp. Ouch. Shovel! You can now dig at campsites. Oh, it's so good. Fiendfire is a good finisher, but given the fact that we are just going to tank up and wait for our opponents to die, it doesn't really fit in this deck. Headbutt still kind of does, just because we have the ability to force a draw, so we can use Headbutt just to put something back to the top of our deck. We're going to have to use this rest. That's really unfortunate, because I'd love to dig and I'd love to upgrade a couple of my cards here, obviously. But we don't really have the opportunity to right now. This fight is going to be won entirely by me defending. So I'm going to get the defense active, rather the defense bonus active. It's really unfortunate to have not gotten any of my defensive cards there. Alright. I'll Iron Wave, and then I'm going to Headbutt to put the Iron Wave back on top of the deck. It's one of my most efficient cards right now. Oh, really? Well, I get to take 1 damage here. 1 damage more than I wanted to. Shrug, shrug, and wonder where the enemy went. Poison Potion. Second copy of Iron Wave, considering the deck archetype we're working with. We don't have any AoE yet, but I am going to go with the second copy of Iron Wave here. I'd love to upgrade, I'd love to dig, but if I don't rest here, and this next delete is like another Gremlin Lob, or, God forbid... No, Gremlin Lob is the worst that it could be. Lagavulin would actually be quite nice. And this is a little bit more middle of the road. 1 defense, 2 attacks. I only take 1 damage here, but I do get to draw almost the entirety of my remaining deck. Good. I want to have 4 energy so that I can use Iron Wave, Headbutt, Shrug it off to draw the Iron Wave again, and then Iron Wave. And then we use another Iron Wave here. I did have to get Juggernaut active because it's going to be so large over the rest of the fight. I might have to rest again before the boss, which terrifies me because we have Shovel. It's so good. Awesome. So, Centennial Puzzles. Sorry, God. I remind myself relatively often, but I don't do it at the time, which is a problem, and I am trying to fix that. My apologies. But the Centennial Puzzle, the first time you lose HP each combat, draw 3 cards. Mango is just 14 more max HP. Ice Cream energy is now conserved between turns, and Shovel gives us the option to dig for other relics when we get to campsites, rest sites rather. This Tory, specifically in this century and the prior century fight, has just been insane for us. Yeah, I'm gonna shrug it off, headbutt, strike, because I want to have shrug it off back on top of my deck. It should help me kind of avoid all the negatives of the bunch of dazeds that I have in my deck. Shrug it off, see if that kills the backline. It doesn't. There we go. Awesome. So we got to 33 leaving this fight. And that's 4 elites on the first floor. That's pretty good. Our deck pretty much has its idea defined. There's a couple more cards I would love in this. Entrench is like super high up on that list. Being 2 energy, double your current amount of block, but you upgrade it and it only costs 1 energy. I gotta be honest with you, I actually love Havoc. I've got super into Havoc recently. But there's a bunch of these cards I don't want to burn. I'm gonna take the max HP. Who's that final boss? Slime boss. Alright. Slime boss is actually going to be pretty rough. And I need to have health after the slime boss. I'm so mad at myself, but I'm going to have to rest here as well. Oh. Oh, this is bad. That hurt me. I do need to use an Iron Wave. Do I want to put an Iron Wave or a Strike back on top of my deck? Probably not really. Right? Yeah, I don't want either of those back on top of my deck until we've got a fully functioning deck. So I'm going to take 1 damage here, but I've got the draw reduction, which is super sucky. So unfortunately, since we don't do a lot of upfront damage, we are going to take a big hit here, which is a very large amount of the reason why I has to be Bash Iron Wave. This is a very large amount of the reason why I decided to rest. Because sure, we might have been able to sustain that hit once, but if we get back around to that hit again, we're dead. That's it. That's us gone. Right, I'm going to headbutt a Iron Wave back to the top of the deck. Bash. Hang on. My draw pile has Strike, Iron Wave, So I just need to do maximum damage next turn. Bash plus strike is 17. Iron Wave strike is 6. It's 16 plus 20. It's 20 total. Alright. Because we are going to force the slime boss to start splitting next turn. I also have the alternative of playing a defend this turn and then not doing anything else. And then breaking the slime boss next turn. Yeah, I should do that. Because then I'm I have one fewer turns of draw reduction after this. So we'll shrug it off. Awesome. We'll Iron Wave. What gave me the extra? Oh, not doing a bunch of stuff last turn gave me the extra energy from the shop. Nice. Headbutt the Iron Wave back to the top of the deck. And even though it does waste a little energy here, I am going to use that extra defend. I need to be able to kill this spike slime as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it is actually going to get one weaken on me or frailty on me. Yeah. That sucks a lot. Because now all of my blocking is significantly less effective. Well, at least I got to block all damage. This thing has 18 HP though, which sucks. It's a rough number to hit. 17 is so much easier. Okay. And they're both gonna try and weaken me. You bastards. Alright, so now I'm pretty much just gonna be frail until the end of the match, which is exactly what I was trying to avoid. The health that I save in this fight is actually important, significant, because I'm not going to heal up totally after this fight. Good, good, good. If that didn't interrupt, I was going to throw the poison potion in as well. Fair enough, I'll take 1 damage here. The courier, by the way, is the merchants no longer run out of cards, relics, or potions, and their prices are reduced by 20%. Let's put a Shrug It Off back on top of the deck, which now means I use a defend rather than the Shrug It Off, because I do want to keep the Shrug It Off back on top of the deck. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Very good. A regen potion is a lovely pickup here. There's Barricade. Like, it fits in the build, sure. Oh, don't even. All right, this is actually not that good. So, healing 4 more after each combat is still not horrible. It's not. And it's going to make up for the time that we have to spend setting up both Barricade and Juggernaut because they're expensive. But I was desperately looking for energy here. Because if I could get energy through these relics, then I would be able to more easily play Barricade and Juggernaut. There's also Runic Cube. Max HP is lowered by 20%. Whenever I lose HP, I draw a card. And there's Runic Pyramid, which is at the end of your turn, you no longer discard your hand, draw 1 fewer cards each turn. Like, Runic Pyramid's probably the best one here for me. Because then I can just keep the expensive ones that I can't play until I can play them. But it's going to incentivize... Like, it's going to mean that I need to get another card draw source in here somewhere. Okay, I need the extra rests. So here, here. I could go for another elite, or I could go for another rest. I guess I'll decide that at the time. We're starting down here. We've got a really early shop that is going to be quite handy. I have to go all out aggressive, which does mean I am going to suck up a lot of damage here. Because if I don't go all out aggressive here, there's no way that I am going to be able to win. Headbutt 9 way back to the top of the deck. Another strike. You're now dead before you can ever do anything. The one in the front I now have to focus on. Bash. Iron Wave. Yeah, we're not going to be able to kill the one in front. I needed this one to try and attack for another turn, but it didn't do it. See, fights like that, where you really need to be quick, we're not going to succeed at a lot, because we have Barricade and Juggernaut. We're supposed to just stand there and take the hits and just be really good about it all. Alright. Here's a problem. If I didn't have Runic Pyramid, Havoc would now be amazing. Because I would discard Barricade, it would go in my draw pile, and then I would headbutt, put Barricade... sorry, it would go in my discard pile. I'd headbutt, I'd put Barricade back on top of my deck, and then I'd Havoc to play it. But I can't do that anymore, because I no longer discard at the end of my turn, because this goddamn Runic Pyramid. As a result, I'm going to take nothing here. Going to go for the max HP. Sundial is going to be incredible for a deck like this. So is Offering. So let's think about it. Offering's really good because it is card draw. It is energy manipulation. The energy manipulation, even if it never helps me, is going to be great. Or rather, if it doesn't help me on the turn that I play it, is going to be great because we have Ice Cream. And the card draw is amazing because it is going to help offset the worst impulses of Runic Pyramid. There's also Corruption. For a deck like this, no. Because I need to consistently play these because they're my source of damage. I don't have damage external of all of these skills. Or rather, I do have some damage external of them, but most of my damage is internal there. True Grit's really good. But it is worth noting, Sundial, because I'm going to fill my hand, and my hand is going to maintain 10 of my cards, or rather usually like 6 of my cards, my discard pile and my draw pile are going to be tiny, which means basically every turn I'm going to be reshuffling. So this is every 3 turns gain 2 energy. I think I'm going to go for that. And I do want True Grit, but I'm not going to have the time to upgrade it because I'm going to spend... Like, I have to upgrade Barricade. I have to upgrade Juggernaut. I need to start digging for loot at campsites with Shovel. So, instead, I'm just going to remove a strike. Okay. Alright, I'm going to start with Juggernaut here. Because the damage that Juggernaut does is unblocked. It's not affected by the fact that the enemies are flying, so they reduce my attack damage by 50%. So that is 12, 12, 24, it's 30. 30 incoming damage. Can I block 30? No, I can block 16, I can block 21. I can block a lot, and then these 2 hits will be reduced to 1 from Tori. I'm trying to think, maybe I just put one of them on the ground. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'm gonna be here long enough. I should have activated the regen potion earlier, but it's okay. I don't really want to drop an explosive potion if I can avoid it. And I'm gonna headbutt, put that back on top of the deck. And defend. I need a battle trance in this deck, and I also need to make the deck a lot thinner, so take out the rest of the strikes, stuff like that. Put another one on the ground. Taking like 2 damage every turn, but I'm healing up 3 from the potion. So it's not horrible. Seeing red would go especially well in this deck, because my hand ends up full and then I can't play anything, which is pretty clearly a problem. Thankfully, I'm going to get the buff from Sundial this turn. Let's put the Iron Wave back on top and bash you. I did all of that in the wrong order, but we still had lethal, thankfully. Disarm is a really nice pickup. Spot weakness is fine, but we're not going to be hitting people with things often. Transform a card. Alright, we're going to transform a strike. Unfortunately, we don't have many ways to actually instill vulnerability in our enemies. We are almost entirely certain to use the explosive potion in this fight. They're going to do 6 on the first round, then 10 on the second. Which is going to be really unfortunate. I don't have enough block to out-block them, so barricade and then just starting a bunch of block up isn't going to help me. Double shrug it off. Keep myself safe. And I'm going to headbutt to put a shrug it off on top of my deck. Next turn's probably going to be like bash, drop kick, explosive potion. Yeah. Bash. Drop kick. Iron Wave. Ouch. Yeah, this is only getting vastly worse. Shrug it off. Shrug it off. Iron Wave. Hell yeah. Like, I'm not doing enough damage to keep up with them. I pretty much have to wait for these Sundial turns. I'm entirely reliant on them for my damage output. Alright, I'm gonna headbutt the bash back to the top of my deck. I was supposed to do dropkick there, and then I was gonna use the dropkick again, but unfortunately I killed the target. Which, you know, wasn't ideal. Trying to make sure that Tori is activating every single turn. And then double strike kills. Leaving me with a Sundial to activate very soon in the next fight. That's going to be good. Dex Potion is a huge pickup. I'm not going to take any of these. Iron Wave's fine in this deck, but I don't want to thicken this deck up anymore. Burning Pact is actually okay, but I don't have the energy to play it. So, you know. Not for me. I think if I don't upgrade Barricade and Juggernaut pretty soon, I'm never going to be able to play them. So these first two camps, despite the fact that I have the ability to dig, are going to be entirely concerned with... Oh god, I'm not even going to be able to fully block here. Right, I'm going to use a dex potion. I love it. I hate it, but I love it. Shrug. Not the card I was hoping to see, unfortunately. Headbutt a shrug back to the top of the deck. Oh, fill my hands. I can't have this fight go for long, by the way, because if this... For long? Because if this fight goes long enough, I am only going to have a hand entirely full of wounds. Due to Runic Pyramid, I'll never be able to discard them. There's our first wound. Still the only wound that we have in our deck, but that's going to increase because the enemy's going to continue hitting me. They're not going to let up. Don't really have any recourse right now. Yep, another wound in my deck. Take another damage, put another wound in my deck. Oh, this is going bad. We're still pretty far from our next sundial as well. That's 30 damage. God, this is bad. Alright, 27 block. Good thing I used that dex potion earlier. My deck should be reshuffled here, right? No, because my hand is so full that I actually can't even reshuffle my deck. So that's not good. I need to start going for some damage. I don't want to stop my deck from being reshuffled. So we currently have 9 cards in hand. So if I strike, we'll draw 2. We're not going to be able to stop this deck. Or rather, we're not going to be able to make this deck reshuffle again. Alright, I just need to do maximum damage then. Put a dropkick back on top. I'm taking this 20 because if I slow this fight down anymore, we will lose. For certain. That was horrible. Calipers, at the start of your turn, lose 15 rather than all of your block. That is really good. Bloodletting would be really good if I could use it. Can I? I'm gonna have to. Here I'm gonna have to rest. I have so many better options, but I have to rest. Whenever I apply a vulnerable, also apply a weak, courtesy of the champion belt. There's 2 elites on this side, but I'm gonna go for the rest and 2 question marks on the other side. Alright. Come on, Enchiridion. Come on, Enchiridion. That's Nilri's Codex. Got a lot of different syllables to Enchiridion. Alright, let's remove another card from my deck. Remove another strike. Sure. I'm gonna add an armaments to my deck. Even my entirely defensive opening turn cannot defend me. Oh, this hurts. Right, we're gonna need to disarm. I'm also gonna bloodlet. Shrug. armaments, the shrug, and then shrug again. Don't want any of those. I do need an armaments in this deck as well. Still haven't got one. Alright, let's use bloodletting. Yeah, I'm just dead. There's Entrench, finally. A little bit late. Unfortunately, taking down all of those elites on the first floor was good in one way. In that it gave me a lot of HP. Sorry, a lot of HP. It gave me a lot of relics. But it was also really bad in another way, in that it caught me in a cycle of constantly just having to upgrade my cards. Rather, rest, rather than upgrade my cards. Which isn't really sustainable. We even got a much better option to use at camps. I never really had a time to use it. I just had to rest again and again and again. This is why usually you can see that I'm really, really concerned anytime I have to rest, and I like to try and avoid it as best I possibly can. Because this is exactly what I assume is going to happen. I'll put myself into a position where I can't do anything. I put myself so far behind the power curve by just trying to keep myself alive. Well fed, Ascension. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It is worth noting, if that run did end up winning, it still would have taken like an hour and a half. That was a real slow run. We did have... What would have really helped us there? Metallicize would have actually really helped. Not just because of the extra 4 block a turn, but because the extra trigger of Juggernaut every single turn would have been really, really, really handy. Energy manipulation a lot earlier in the run would have been really, really nice. A Battle Trance would have been really good because it would have allowed us to basically Battle Trance every single turn, and then we would always have a full hand, courtesy of Runic Pyramid, and we would always have a very small remaining deck size, which means that Sundial would trigger consistently. That was why I kept removing more cards from my deck, to try and get down to 10 cards so that I could just force myself to shuffle the deck again and again and again. Like, just play the... Shrug it off. Play Shrug it off. That goes into the discard pile. You try and draw from a deck that doesn't have anything. Or rather, you draw. Shrug it off goes into the discard pile. You no longer have a deck. You play another Shrug it off. Shuffle your discard pile into your deck. Draw a Shrug it off. Play the other Shrug it off, right? You would be able to do that to get a lot of armor. It would be about 3 energy to get 2 energy back. So sure, you're losing an energy each time, except you're gaining 24 block and you're dealing 15 damage random across the enemies. So that would have been really fun. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get there before the run found its miserable end. My name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Slay the Spire. That has been an attempt to make a much more defensive style of Ironclad. Maybe we stop doing that and go all out rampant. Of course, we can't do that. But we need to strike a balance, I think is what we've learned here. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you next time, Margaret.